Hello everyone, this is Ashish, and today we are back to continue our session on PowerShell basics. So far we have discussed till operators. So we have discussed till operators from the PowerShell basics module, and now I will try to complete this particular topic, conditional execution and loops. So this one is quite important from the scripting point of view, because if you are already doing any type of scripting or programming, you must be aware that loops and conditional execution is the backbone of any script, because you will be using it a lot, and most probably not most of the script do not complete without using any type of loop or maybe any type of conditional execution. So we will try to cover it as much as possible. I will try to complete this particular topic. It is a quite detailed topic, and then the upcoming topic would be functions in PowerShell, and then advanced function. Those topics are also very explained and detailed. So let's start today's session with conditional execution. So we have already covered operators in PowerShell. So let me know if you have any issue while working with PowerShell operators, because that is also one of the main pillar of your scripting or PowerShell uses. Now let's come to the another most important topic, that is conditional execution. And in conditional execution, the first thing we would be discussing is if statement. So if we have already used if in one of our previous example, so I have tried to explain as much as that moment, and we will try to go briefly about this if statement again. One of the very useful thing in PowerShell you have is snippets, PowerShell snippets, right? So whatever the common syntax, common loop, and common conditional execution you have, PowerShell already have a sample for you for that particular thing. And how to get that sample? Just press Ctrl J together, and then you will have list of things like what is the sample or snippet for class or commandlet for class. So we are not we will be discussing all these things in detail, like advanced function detail, completes. These are the upcoming topic, but for the time being, let's go ahead and search something related to if we have. Yes, we have. So if you can see, if you have two options, like there is only one if where there is no else condition, and then there is another option where you have a else condition. So let's go to the advanced one where you have a else condition. I will explain the only if after this actually. So here you get a particular sample for this condition. So that's how your if statement it looks like. That this is your, actually, if I would say, let's say this is your condition actually. Okay, so what, it might be a simple condition like greater than or less than, but it might be something complex. So you will have to build that condition, and then you will have to put in there in within if bracket, and then if that condition matches, if this condition should return true or false actually. So if this condition is true, then it will come into this braces, and if this condition is false, then it will go ahead and search for its else condition. If there is an else, then it will go inside that. If there is no else, right, if you have only provided if condition, then it will just check whether it is true or false. If it is true, then it will go inside that. If it is false, then it will do nothing, right? So if is very basic. Normally we use else as well, right? Because if you know that this condition is not true, then you must do something, at least create a log in your log file or somewhere, or maybe give a prompt to the user or something. I mean, you must be using else as well, but there are some times where you don't need a else condition, then you have that option in PowerShell as well. So that's what if is. Like, condition can be anything. Like, suppose I want to compare two numbers. Suppose I have two variables, right? Just like that, where one has some values, like something like, suppose it's a string value. Okay, so and then I want to check whether this whether this value equals to something or not. So I can simply say where one equal. Okay, so as you know that we have already used the operator in previous video. So where one equal, and then I want to check with something like, let's say I just want to check whether it is Ashish or not. If it is Ashish, then I want to do something, right? Write host. Okay, and then I will say yes, you are Ashish, right? And if it is not Ashish, then I will just just say Control C and just little bit of modification. No, instead of yes, no, you are not Ashish, right? So simply, so as we have statically declared over here, so it will definitely go inside this. So let's try that. We have already did this for a different example, but so you see that yes, you are Ashish. But if I will change variable a little bit, instead of Ashish, if I will say Raj, right? So it is not equal to Ashish, right? So it should not go inside this one. Instead of, it will find the else and then it will execute the else part. So let's see. Yeah, no, you are not Ashish. Now suppose I will remove the else, right? I just want to check Ashish, and if it is Ashish, then I will print Ashish. If not, then I don't want to do anything, then it will not do anything, right? There is no else, so it will, it searched and it has not found any else condition, so it did nothing. So that's how your if else condition works, and that's the use case. Probably, this is one of the very useful I would say conditional execution you would have in your script or in your day-to-day PowerShell execution. So this is something you must be aware of. You must practice it with the examples you have within your environment, and keep exploring what are the ways you can use, how you can use the operators. I have used the equal logical operator. You can I have used the operators for comparison operator. You can use logical operator along with comparison operator. You can use wildcard search, or maybe you can try regular expression that we did yesterday for the previous video for an email ID. So things like that you will have to explore it, and do little bit of practice, because this is something you will be using a lot, right? So after if condition, what we have, right, there is an example. So it's a basic example. We have already gone through one of the very elaborate example actually. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so another conditional execution we have is do while. Okay, so let's go back to the definition. Is it says script block execute as long as condition is true. Okay, so do while, again, instead of going to the internet to find the syntax or going through some blog, as I said, PowerShell has its inbuilt help mechanism a lot. So one of the help mechanisms is your snippet. So Control J, and I will say do. Yeah, so you have do until and do while. So let's explore do while first. Okay, so you see that you have a little bit of preview over here. Let's enter it. Yeah, so this is what a do while loop look like. Now what is the difference here from do while? Okay, so do while is like, if you have written something, right host, okay, I will say $x is equals to -1, okay, or 0, right, 0. Okay, so I have x which is not greater than 0, right, and I am saying right host output. Okay, so what do I says that no matter what the condition is, it will at least run once, and it will at least go inside this first, once, because do is before while, it is checking the condition later, and before that it is doing something, right? So let's run it, and let's clear the screen and let's run it, right? So you have got output at least once, even if your condition is not matching, right? And if your condition is matching, then it will go ahead and output again. Like if I will say 1, so it is greater than 1, right? So it will go ahead and check again. So right, so it is an infinite loop, because I'm not changing x actually, so it is an infinite loop. It will crash my computer, so I cancelled it. So this way, you would be doing something with x, then you will be doing your work, and then you will be checking whether the x has changed or not. If not, then go back to the do loop, and you here to avoid infinite loop, this x must be changing, right? Like if I will say $x -1, okay, and $x equals to, right? So what I'm doing the while condition, then I'm changing it, I'm subtracting 1 so that it becomes 0, and then next time it will become -1. So that's how it will after third attempt it will it will not the condition will not be valid, right, within the while loop. So this is the condition. Okay, so let's run it, right? Okay, seems like I have done something wrong. Okay, right. What I am doing here is I am changing x, and then again I am declaring x over here, so that's why it is causing issues. So let's do one thing. Let's run. So let's do example from our PowerPoint actually. So let's do that actually. So I have declared I is equals to 1. Do right host $I, or you can say value as well, right? Output $I. Then I am incrementing it, and then I am checking while less than, okay, less than 5. Yeah. So what it will do, it will start from I is equals to 1, then it will check, it will print the value, and then it will keep on checking whether it is less than 5 or not. The moment it will become more than 5, so it will know that will be the last iteration for it. So let's try to run this one. Yeah, so right, less than 5. Oh, why it is going into the infinite loop? I equals to do while host I plus while I is less than 5. Yeah. Okay. Instead of x, I should be printing I, right? So there is no x, so it will keep on checking that particular thing, right? So yeah, see, first time it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So last time it was 5, so it will be printing 5. So that's how you use do while actually. And in the same way you have do until as well, right? So do until do the just opposite, like you have the control J, do until, right? So it does it just, it is just the opposite of do while. It will do while will work until this is true, okay, and instead of that do until will work until this is false. That's the only difference, right? That's the only difference, do while and do until. Do until we can use it, but we rarely use. We normally use do while a lot, and one more, not a lot, but yes, we use do while, and more than that we use for loop. Let's go to Control J and for. So for loop has a syntax. If we go ahead and for, you see that there is a $I. Let's remove this example from here, okay? So you have a $I, this is a variable, this is the counter for you actually. So for I is equals to 1, it will start from here till this condition is true. It will keep on incrementing on every iteration the I. So until it is, it is false, it will keep on printing. Let's try to write host and let's print I only. Okay? So instead of 99, let's make it a little bit smaller number, right? So clear the screen, right? Yeah. So till 9, because after 9 it will be more than it will be equal to 10. So I am saying less than. If I will say equal, less than equal, okay, less than or equal, then it will print till 10 actually, right? Because it will also accept this 10 value as well. So this is how you can, you will be using operators, comparison operators, and then with loop for conditional execution, or you might nest it within a if condition as well. There will be a if condition as well, there can be. So this is how your complex scripting will start working, and you will have you will be able to build your complex logic using these basic construct or basic pillar of PowerShell scripting language. So you have to have the variable variable type of variable, or maybe how to define a variable concept first. Then you will have to understand the data type concept, like where to use the dynamic engine of PowerShell, which will not ask you to define the data type, but where you can use you will explicitly tell the data type. There will be situation, and there will be definitely situation in certain environment where you need to have the data type is strict to be a particular type. Then you will start building your logic using the comparison operator or arithmetic operators, or maybe logical operators, like equal to or less than equal to. These are the comparison operator, or maybe and or there are two conditions, you want to match both of them, then you will be using and. And if there is something, there are two conditions and either of one should should be true for your logic, then you will be using or logical operator. So this is how we are progressing, and you should be aware that okay, this is the progression you have. This is how you should start using it from from beginning and then till now. And then we will be covering further advanced concept, further things which will again help you to build your more complex logic or to work with more complex environment. So so that's I wanted to just give a quick journey information. Okay, so let's go back to our slide and let's continue on. So we have do until. Now let's go to the next slide, which is for. So we have already discussed for, that this is the format. This is the standard used for the for statement to run the code block specified number of time, or till that particular condition matches in the middle, right? Set you want to have it run till this condition matches. It might be a counter, it might be something else as well. This is a condition actually, right? So the condition is, you should be aware of the condition where to match, and the control J is a key for any PowerShell I would say syntax. You should remember control J and just do something. If you do not remember the syntax for loop, or maybe for each or something, then just do a control J and then go for it, and then just enter. You will have a quick snippet of it for a brief go through it, and then you will be able to implement it in your logic. Okay, so let's go to the for, and then we have discussed for. Now let's go to the another for each. Now for each is another very useful I would say loop which you will be using a lot in PowerShell. Now for and for each has little bit of difference. That let's go back to the control J, and let's go to the for each, right? So for each, okay, so for each will have a collection. Okay, so you will have a collection and you will go through that collection. So that's where for each is used, it will be utilized. So to use a for each, let's go back to our slide, and let's just go back to this text what we have written. The for each statement, also known as for each loop, is a language construct for stepping through or iterating a series of values in a collection of items. This is very crucial, that you are actually going through a collection of items, and there are so many types of collection, but we have discussed two types of collection specifically, which is array and hash table. And array is one of them, which you will find a lot, and you will be using for each to go through each element of an array all the time. Let's do one thing. Let's create an array. Okay, let's say my array, okay, is equals to, and then I will say okay, now my array has names. Okay, Ashish, then comma, then you can say Ram, comma, oops, and then we have Ravi, any name, right? Three names, we have a collection of three names, right? And now using for each, it will go through the collection. Now my collection is this one, my array. Instead of collection, I will be using my array. Now this item you need not to declare. What it will do is, from each my array, it will pick the collection one item at a time, and then you will have access to this item. You can print like this, right? Host, and then $item, right? So this item will have the current value from the array. Let's run it and let's see what happens, right? So the first time it found Ashish, then the second time it found Ram, and then the third time it found Ravi. So that's how you will use for each for going through the through one of the collection you have already, right? So this is how your for each will work, and for each has a lot of use. I would say, in any script, if there is some batch processing, if there is something you are doing with the multiple users or multiple computers or multiple servers, you must be seeing for each somewhere in the in the script. And if you will go through the for each loop, you will see that there is a collection. You are going through each collection, you are getting the value from there. This item can be named as where, can be named as something. So that particular thing will represent the value for that iteration, at that moment of time. So that's how you will use for each, right? So the main concept is, I would say, for any conditional execution, because they have a lot of use cases, you can have lot of practical, or you can have lot of experiments with them. And the other thing I would say, just remember Control J, and that will give you a lot of snippets. You can see that there are a lot of snippets, and few of the basic one are already there, and you can start using them, and you can go through them. And once you will have the basic snippet, you can start using it for your for your specific logic or specific requirement. And that's how you will be able to get the fundamental of these loops and conditional executions and operators and these things, right? So okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so for each is done. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, this is the switch. Okay, so switch is something, I would say switch case. If you remember, switch case is actually, if you are coming from a programming background, switch case will trigger something into your mind. So that is what this switch is actually. Now for those who are not from programming background, let me go ahead and tell you what is switch. Just like in normal life we have switch, here as well we have switch. So switch, then I just enter it. Okay, now if you see here, there is a variable which is x, and then again this x can have multiple value, right? This x can, this x, we are expecting that this x will have a combination of value, like 5 or 4 types of value it will have. Like suppose I want to ask user that please enter your age, okay, and it should be between 15 to 20 to be eligible for running the script. Okay, it's just a hypothetical situation here. So I am expecting that user would be able to enter 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20, right? So these are the values I have. Okay, so if I will so user can enter any one of them, right? So if someone has entered x equals to or instead of number, I would say please enter your name, and I am expecting 5 names here. Like Ashish, he might enter Ashish, he might enter Raj, he might enter Ravi, he might enter Ram, or he might enter something else. So if the user has entered Ashish, okay, so the first value I am expecting is Ashish. Okay, and then if the user has entered Ashish, then what I want to do is I want to write host and say, okay, you are Ashish, the block specific to Ashish. So you can do something else as well. You can run a script to reset password for Ashish. You can run a command for unblocking user's account having name Ashish or something else. So there can be n number of I would say examples, but this is what it is. Let's remove this section, this one. Instead of that, now the other value I might have is Ravi. So if he will enter Ravi, the user, then I will say write host, you are Ravi. Okay, so if the user will say Ravi, so instead of if else, because if I will use if else condition, then if I am expecting 5 different values, then I will have to create 5 different if 5 different else condition. I mean, there will be one if, and then there will be else condition, 4 else condition following that. So that will make a little bit lengthy code, and little bit it will not be a quality code actually, because I mean just instead of that I can do that particular 5 logical conditional execution in 5 lines only. So for each condition I have that line, right? I don't have to write multiple if and else. and then there will be a default value. Default means if the input entered, let's enter Ashish first and let's see what happens. Let's enter Ashish and it will say, okay, you are Ashish. Now instead of Ashish I will say Ravi. So let's see, you are Ravi, right? Or if I will say none of them, Raj, so it will go to default. Okay, write host and I will say none of them. Okay, so it will say none of them, right? So default is something which will happen if none of the cases found. These are known as case. Okay, so if case is Ashish, then it will do the Ashish work. If case is Ravi, then do the Ravi work. If there is something else, then there is something else. If none of them matches, then the default will execute. So that's how you use switch case or switch in PowerShell. Okay, so go back to the script, go back to this slide and let's go to the where clause. Very useful where, which is used a lot, and we are already 30 minutes, so let's we will continue from here, because we will have a brief journey of these things in next video as well. So I will start from those things like operators and operators, logical operators, and then comparison operators, then loops, and then I will explain the where clause in next video itself, and we will be jumping to the function part, which is very interesting, and from here your complex things start coming. So if you already using a where clause, that. If not, then you will be using it a lot in PowerShell at least. So let's close the session for today, or add switch, and we will be discussing where clause. I am just deferring the where clause because it is very very important concept, and I don't want to make it in a hurry. I mean, I want to explain that it will not take much time, but still I want to have little bit of examples and use cases, 2 or 3 examples, so that you can be familiar with that and you will be using it a lot. So that's my motive of deferring that particular topic for next video. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Keep sharing, keep liking, and just comment over there about your feedback, and let me know where I need to improve, what are the things you want me to discuss, or if I am if you want me to explain something more in more detail, then just point me there. Okay, thank you, bye bye.